Hello and welcome to VRVertigo. So today's video is a little different. I'd like to focus on something that is, I wish I could say very near and dear to my heart, but is quite frankly a problem for me. I love VR and I suffer from vertigo. Now, although you don't see it in these videos, I suffer from vertigo quite badly. And in some videos, I've had what I call small hits, where you have a moment, and they can happen quite frequently, where you'll just have a blip. That's what it feels like inside. The motion I'm doing here is what it feels like inside. And it feels like it's going to go into a full-blown spin, but doesn't. And this is where I'm currently at with my vertigo after, 15 years. When I first got vertigo, it was a very dark time in my life. It's entirely debilitating. You have your natural fitness and your compos mentis, but being dizzy for hours at a time wears pretty thin, pretty damn quickly, I can tell you now. And so I read in the various Facebook pages and forums, and it comes up every now and again when I'm watching videos for VR. How do you get past the vertigo stage? I put the headset on, I start looking around, and all of a sudden my entire world goes, whoa! And they just can't handle it. And that isn't unusual. Vertigo, when you're faced with it as a major part of your life, as opposed to the thing you did spinning around when you were a child, getting dizzy for fun, is a terrible experience. And unfortunately, it messes with a lot of people's enjoyment of VR. I've seen more than a few channels state on more than a few occasions how they have many of their viewers asking, how do you deal with VR? And there appears to be no clear way through. And now, I'm not a medical professional, I am not medically trained, but what I do have is my own experience. And I thought that I would pass on my own experience to you in order that it might help you enjoy VR more consistently. And so initially what I'd like to do is start by outlining what the initial symptoms are. Generally, when you have vertigo as a medical condition, it comes on unexpectedly. There is no real reason for it to come on. People just experience it, and it either goes and you never have it again, or it stays with you. There are various stages in between, but effectively that's what many people have. Now, there are various types of vertigo as a condition, i.e. they're brought on by various different mechanisms, but they all result in the same debilitating reality for everyone who experiences it. Now, for me, my diagnosis wasn't clear. I also have, as part of my condition, tinnitus, and vertigo and tinnitus are often seen together in older people. But curiously, vertigo, it seems, is on the increase across the planet, and nobody seems to know quite why. Younger and younger people are experiencing vertigo. And I'm not messing about when I say, quite sincerely, my heart bleeds for you. So the various types of vertigo are BPPV, Meniere's, migraine-associated vertigo, etc. And when I had my diagnosis, there wasn't a clear way through because I'd had tinnitus for years. So initially they felt that that was an issue. But as my vertigo progressed, it was obvious that I was getting it when I was positionally situated. I could get it bending over or looking backwards or looking up to my right or left. Who knows, frankly. But as my vertigo started to settle, and this is many years ago, and I felt able, I started to play games. It occurred to me early on that a little bit of what was bad for me actually might end up being good for me. As difficult as it sounds, it's never too early to bite the bullet and to try to start dealing with it. And then I found that by playing VR, when I was settled, when I wasn't having vertigo, but of course still suffering generally with vertigo, that it also had a positive effect. Now, that's not to say when I put the headset on, I didn't get issues. No, and in many ways, That's the point. I put the headset on, and as soon as I start looking around, you start to feel it. And you get that immediate sense of panic. And then if it develops into a spin, it becomes problematic, blah, blah, blah. So finally, this was a very long-winded build-up. Here is my advice to you. Put the headset on. Start gaming as normal. If you start to feel dizzy, stop in the game where you are. Try to be straight physically in the real world as you can be. Place both your hands with the controllers on your lap and find something in front of you in the game world to look at. Something that's stationary. A fence post, a shield on a wall, a bullet hole that you've just made. Anything that is stationary. And just sit there and look at it and concentrate on it. Just look, 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 look. And you should start to feel the vertigo subside. Take deep breaths as you're doing this. You may start to get very warm. That's a natural body response to an unnatural event, i.e. the vertigo being brought on. So don't worry about that. It becomes a little uncomfortable because you get hot, you get a flush. But just stick with it. Wait, 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 keep. Even if you're there for 30 seconds, just carry on. Just watch it, watch it, watch it. Don't be tempted to move your head left and right. Wait until the feeling subsides entirely. Then slowly move your head from left to right while you're still in game. See how you feel. If it happens again, do it again. Now this all sounds a little bit repetitive, and to what good end, you might reasonably ask? Well, rather like in the footage you see behind you here of a fighter pilot training against, or rather to mitigate against vertigo, and as I've just said, a little bit of what is bad for you is actually good for you. It helps build up your resistance. And so, game, if you get dizzy, stop, find a point in the world to look at, make sure that physically in the real world you're as straight as you can be, i.e. not twisted, not leaning backwards or forwards, just upright. And then when the vertigo finishes, start to carry on nice and gently. If it hits again, stop again. Remember, you're trying to build up resistance. And for most people, it works. Because of my vertigo, I don't play VR standing up. I sit down. I have a bar stool. I'm currently sat on it now, and it allows me to turn around and look around in the game world. And I don't get unsteady, because if I do feel unsteady, I just plant my feet on the ground, put my hands on my lap, and I just stare at something. It goes, on I trot. And you will find if you do this over and over, or as many times as you require, it could only be a couple of times. It might be many more. Just get on with it. And whenever it happens, have a healthy disdain for it. Because a good attitude, or should I say a bad attitude towards your vertigo, is as important, in my opinion, as good posture. So you try what I've just said. Keep at it. Don't let it beat you. And you should find that your VR journey is a straight and healthy one. Do let me know what you think in the comments below. Do like, subscribe, and share. It really would help the channel. And until next time, bye-bye.